Think about your local electricity provider. Chances are there's only one company serving your area. Why? There's high startup costs and regulatory restrictions create barriers to entry that prevent competitors from entering the market. These barriers allow firms to gain monopoly power, control pricing and output, and in this video, we'll explore the sources of barriers to entry and how they lead to market power, shaping industries and consumer experiences. In this module, we'll be covering market structures and market power. So we'll define what is market power, how do firms set price and quantity to maximize profits if they are in an industry that has market power, and then what are the effects of that market power on market outcomes, right? So we're going to find this is going to be a market failure. It's going to lead to higher prices, lower quantity, and deadweight loss. So it's not really good for society when industries and markets have this type of market power to set their own prices, right? And then the last one's going to be how can government play a role to reduce these bad effects of these market power. All right, as a motivating example, I want to talk about the EpiPen. So the EpiPen is a medicine that many people need to survive if you're allergic to a certain thing like a bee sting or peanuts, and you ingest some peanuts, you could die from anaphylactic shock. And so this EpiPen injects this epinephrine into your body that can save your life. And so they are pretty important products for a large amount of people across the world. All right, so what's going on here is like it used to be that the developer of this pharmaceutical, this drug, Merck, is the name of the company. They had a patent. And what a patent is a legal document from the federal government that says you are the only firm that is allowed to sell this, right? So that they were basically given a monopoly, a legal monopoly from the federal government to be the only firm to sell that. And so they had what we're going to call a lot of market power to do this. And we'll find that when you have market power, you can raise prices and restrict quantity. And so why does the federal government allow firms to have these patents? Is because basically they want to incentivize innovation and research for firms to create new products. For instance, like Merck spent $1 billion on trying to develop this EpiPen, and it's a really useful and life-saving innovation. So they need to be able to get some profits back to fund that research. And so if they didn't get a patent, then they create this product, then any other firm could just steal it from them and start making it themselves. That would cause the price to go down to zero economic profits if it was like perfect competition. And if they're like, oh, I'm not getting any profits from it, Merck's then like, well, I'm not going to invest in these new products. So the whole point of the patent system in the United States is to give firms a 20-year span to make profits on their new products. So when you file a patent, the date you file the patent for your product, you have 20 years to be the only firm to do it. All right, then after 20 years, you lose that patent, and then the whole world has that information to be able to create this product. And then the idea is like the prices should go down. So in the pharmaceutical space, this is called the generics, right? Where these products are not under patent anymore. And once the world has this information, anyone can go create EpiPens, and you would expect the prices then to go way down once you have a lot of competition from generics in this industry. What happened, though, is something a little bit different. And so around February 2007, right on this period here, the price of an EpiPen was about $100. Right? And this is about the time when Mylan announces the purchase of Merck's generics unit, including the EpiPen. So this was already a generic drug, this EpiPen, for a few years, maybe 7 years. And the price is driven down to $100 for this EpiPen to produce these. And then Merck's like, oh, we don't want to be in the generic business. Merck wants to be in developing these patented medicines, these new medicine business where the profits are higher. And so Merck's like, we're going to sell our generics division. And so they sold it to Mylan. Now, Mylan is a company that doesn't develop any of their own drugs. They're just buying up the rights to sell these drugs. They're basically a private equity firm that's doing this. And what they do then is they buy them and they start jacking up the prices on them, basically as high as they can go to get profits. And so that's what Mylan did. So it was $100 in February '07 when they bought it, when Mylan bought this EpiPen. And then by February 16, they had raised the price to $600 each. Right? That's massive, massive increase. Many people couldn't afford it, and they had to go without their EpiPen, and that's really risky for them, right? If they have these allergies. So how do they do this? We'd expect the price to stay around 100 because it's generic and more competition, right? What's giving them this market power to start raising the prices? Well, it has to do with a weird thing going on in the U.S. Patent and drug regulation system. So to be able to produce generic drugs, you have to get approval from the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, the Food and Drug Administration from the federal government. And to go that, you got to go through all these steps. And so Congress made some changes thinking it would help to make things easier, and actually made things a lot harder to get approved. And so basically, Mylan had all this market power because other firms couldn't get approved to make generics. And so they effectively had a monopoly, Mylan did, on EpiPens, because no other firm could produce it, even though they didn't have a patent. Right? And so their entire business strategy, Mylan, is to buy up these generics and have this monopoly and start jacking up the prices a lot. Around the same time, 2013, 2015, there's a guy named Martin Shkreli. He was in the news. Here's him testifying in front of Congress about what he did. So he had another company. It wasn't Mylan, but very similar business strategy. He was just a guy with a lot of money starting this private equity, and they were buying up these generic drugs and jacking up the prices. So one of them that Martin Shkreli's company did, they bought Daraprim in 2013. Price went from $1,350 to $750. Right, Doxycycline went from $20 to almost $1,900. Isoprel $215 to $1,300. Nidopress $250 to $805. Right. All right. So two of these are in particular people thought were somewhat very egregious. Okay. This one here, Daraprim, is for a malaria treatment drug. So like, malaria, you got malaria, bad disease. All you need to pay is $13.50, and basically you're cured. Now like, oh, well, we're going to jack it up to $750. It's way out of the price range that many people can pay, especially in Africa, where there's a lot of malaria going on. Okay, and so this was, lots of people were not going to be treated for their malaria because of this really high price. They couldn't afford it. This one maybe even more egregious, doxycycline, where this $20 drug, if a pregnant woman is delivering their baby and they hemorrhage and they're bleeding really bad, you give them this doxycycline and they're basically fine. Okay, it stops that hemorrhaging. So it's a really important drug to save many women's lives. It was $20 because it was generic for something like 30 years. They somehow got the rights to produce it, and they jacked the price up to $1,900. So there's the idea being, oh, well, health insurance companies will pay this price, and we can make a lot of profits from our monopoly or market power to jack up the price. Right? Many women couldn't afford this price, and so the idea is like, well, now more women are going to die from hemorrhaging and childbirth because they can't afford this. Right. So this is why he's testifying in front of Congress, because Congress, this is bad. We don't like this, and so they're going to ask him questions and grill him really hard, right, about it. So he had a nickname called the Pharma Bro, because he's really a finance person, had nothing to do with pharmaceuticals knowledge. He's just buying up these companies, jacking up the prices, and he really had a really bad reputation from this, to the point where a side story. So maybe you've heard of the rap group Wu-Tang Clan back from the 90s and early 2000s. They came out with an album roughly around this time period. They made one physical copy. It wasn't electronic. It was like a physical copy on a record. And they're like, we're going to auction off this record to the highest bidder, and they can do whatever they want with it. If they want to provide it to the world for free, that's what they can do. And that's what the band was, the rap group was expecting. Well, this Martin Shkreli guy, he bought it and he put it into a safe. He's like, I'm not going to let anyone ever hear this record. I'm the only one that's ever going to be able to hear this record. Right. And so that was kind of the mean thing he did. He got a really bad reputation on that time period, around this time. He went to jail. interestingly. It was not doing any of this stuff, raising prices. That's legal. This is legal to do. He went to jail for defrauding his investors, basically stealing money from his investors to do that. And so eventually this Wu-Tang album was recovered from this guy's safe because he had to forfeit all of his assets when he went to jail and lost all his money. Right. So what we're going to talk about in this chapter is like what allowed these firms to do this and jack up the prices higher. Because in perfect competition, like we talked before, there should be like zero economic profits. Price should be really close to marginal cost. But here price is going to be like way higher than marginal cost. And what allowed these firms to do that? Okay. So the idea here is that different market structures are going to be leading to different amounts of market power. So market power here is going to be the extent to which a seller can charge a higher price without losing many sales to competing businesses. That's going to allow them to charge a price higher than marginal cost. And so there's a few different types of market structure. We've already covered one, perfect competition. This is going to be the lowest market power. The most competition you can have is going to be perfect competition, and they're infinitely competitive. Price is going to be equal to marginal cost here. And then the other extreme is monopoly. There's only one firm, and they have no competition at all, and they're going to have the highest market power. They don't have to worry about what prices their competitors are charging. And then in the middle, there's a whole bunch of different models where you can have a little bit of market power and a whole bunch of market power closer to monopoly. So we're not going to have time to cover these two in class. We've already covered this one, and so I'm going to focus kind of on this monopoly one in this module.